Cooper with Who's a Star.
And a Rolex completion is a big box to check. As Frankie mentioned, you know, starting out on a 4-star track is not the same thing as finishing it. And those riders that have been out there and have not completed will certainly be looking to check that box and get their first Rolex completion under their belt.
I mean, I don't want to pick on them, but, you know, a name and a combination that stick in your mind is Jenny Brannigan and Cambalda. You know, so successful at 3-star, and they had to work and work and work for years to get their first 4-star completion. So Courtney Cooper, and Who's a Star? Courtney riding this one for Neil Kamins and herself, a Rolex rookie. Combination have been twice in the top 10 in the CCI 3-star Jersey Fresh. They were at 3rd there in 2013 and 7th in 2014. Been out a good few times this spring, but had a little bit of 20 penalties-itis out on the cross-country in their runs this spring. Gives her salute to the president of the ground jury, Dr. Ernst Topp of Germany.
20 penalty-itis. It's a one that we would like to recover from. Find a cure for that. Beautiful medium trot. She got a great score for that. Good cadence, good rhythm. Lightness of the horse's forehand. You can see when those front legs come off of the ground. That demonstrates that the horse is carrying more weight on his hindquarters, which enables those front legs to lighten up and show that beautiful expression. Not quite the same fluidity in the half pass that we've seen, say on Liz's test, where the horse just maintained a lovely supple balance in the half pass movement. That turn on the haunches comes up so early in the test. You know, the horses have barely had a chance to get settled into the rhythm of the test, so to speak, and right away they've got to come back to walk and do that very obedient, a lot of obedience required to ride that turn on the haunches.
And this horse, homebred by Courtney and her husband Neil. They originally purchased the mother of this horse as to be Courtney's eventer, ended up breeding from her, and this horse is by the legendary sire Aberjack.
Very exciting to have bred and raised a homebred and then produced it to this level, as Karen mentioned earlier. And the first horse that Lauren Kiefer is riding is also a homebred, so lovely to see. Years of work going into these horses to bring them to this level. Showing good over track in her extended walk here. You're looking for both the horse to take longer strides in the walk, cover more ground, as well as lengthen the neck and the head. There's what we would call the outline, or the shape of the horse's walk. And there you can see as she picks up the reins, coming back to a slightly more compressed frame, preparing for that canter transition. Horse has really good ground cover in the canter. You want to look at, he brings that front leg way out in front of him, and good separation of the hind leg. That shows that the horse is really using his body through the canter. The dressage phase, focusing on the athletic development of the horse, working to improve the horse's strength and conditioning in this phase. I like to think of ourselves as sort of personal trainers for our horses, that we're out there helping the horse develop his body and develop his physical capabilities to his utmost ability. You can just see the canter has a really nice, relaxed, soft way about it. It just looks very, very beautiful and soft and flowing in the way that he canters. Good extension there. You can see he really pushed from his hind end into a longer, more ground covering stride, and then very softly and obediently came back to her at the end of that extended canter. And these movements do carry forward the importance of the horse being trained to do these movements do carry forward to the cross-country phase, where the horse is asked to extend and collect his stride frequently on the cross-country.
It's every single top-level equestrian athlete you talk to. Carriage driving, how do you win at the marathon? You have your horse come back to you, go from you. Grand Prix show jumping the same.
Oh dear.
That's a real shame, because her score had been very, very competitive up to that point. But
I'm not quite sure what happened there too. She came around the turn and it just really went a bit off for her there. I wasn't really quite sure what was going on there. Definitely a little miscommunication. But I guess the good thing, it was right at the very end of the course, so she should have had quite a few good marks before she had that mistake.
it's a shame. It could have been about a 67-68% test. As it is, it'll probably be about 65 now in terms of percentage for Courtney Cooper. And who's the start?
And here she is, she's setting up her last two flying changes, and she comes around the turn, and he just sort of stumbles out of the canter. It's almost like he thought she was going to ask for a halt or a walk, and he really is propping and what we'd call discombobulated, I guess is the best phrase for it. Not a super technical term, but he just didn't quite understand what she was asking, and they had a bit of miscommunication before. You can see he kind of stumbles and props, almost like he's going into a halt, and then she's like, no, you've got to keep going and do the change, and then they recover and carry on from there. And she'll just receive a deduction for that one mark. Each of the 26 movements are scored individually 1 to 10, so she will have quite a low score for that movement, and will suffer slightly in her collective marks. You know, the overall impression of the horse, that mistake will carry through, but should be able to get good marks on the parts that were good.
Yeah, we mentioned those collective marks a couple of times just to put them in perspective. They are the marks for paces, their freedom and regularity, impulsion, which is the horse's desire to move forward, its submission, the horse's attention and confidence, and a mark for the rider themselves, position and seat, correct use of the aids, and the effectiveness of those aids. So 50.9 is the score. That's going to go into a 7th position, with percentages of 67, 65, 65 for Courtney Cooper and Who's the Star. Well, back down to the warm-up to Frankie.
Well, this next combination has an interesting story. In 2014, Ellen Doty Hume actually was married here at the horse park, right over by the head of the lake by David O'Connor. And this horse actually walked her down the aisle, or she rode down the aisle, I guess you could say, and married her husband, now Alistair Hume. So a really exciting, fun fact about these two.
That's right. In fact, it was bittersweet, because they